sinners, and saints. Dust off those horns and halos. It's time for Alan After Dark.
So I'm in the car heading to the grocery store, listening to Madonna's Confessions 2 album, which is spectacular, by the way. One of her best ever, I have to say. And it's not just because I'm a fan. It really is good. There are some really good songs on there. A lot of good songs, actually. Anyway, my wonderful, peaceful drive is interrupted when I come to a traffic light and the light is red, so obviously I have to stop. And I'm enjoying the music when a car pulls up beside me with the loudest music possible. Just the thump, 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 thump. So loud that my car is vibrating. And I just look over and I'm like, yeah, another small penis guy. It was quite annoying though. I mean, it was louder than loud, if you know what I mean. It was like, whose attention are you trying to get at 6 a.m. in the morning? Mine? Well, honey, I don't do loud music players like that. And I started to wonder, was I like that when I was young? I mean, I played my music loud, but I don't recall it being so loud that the windows rattled. But maybe I'm just an ornery old man who wants to do nothing but complain. I guess that could be true. Absolutely. I was very pleasantly surprised this week at the grocery store. The Mohawk man is back.
Yay!
His head was shaved into the mohawk. You could see his tattoo on the side of his head. He was down on his knees, and I was thinking every dirty thought that you could imagine.
Oh, fuck, yeah, fucking take it. Oh, yeah.
I'll try to describe him. He's about 6'1", I'd say. Dark hair, of course, like I just described, shaved on the sides into a mohawk with a tattoo on the right side of his head, dark facial hair, thick eyebrows, dark eyes too. Very sharp features, but they're really perfect for his look and his size. I wouldn't call him a muscle guy, but he is very fit. And today, when he bent over at one point, I could tell that he was wearing boxers. Now, people have asked me to take a picture of him, and I was very tempted today to do that, but I do feel like that's an invasion of privacy. And also, there was a dozen people around, and I didn't really want to get busted taking his picture. Probably could get in trouble for that, I guess. Could you? I don't know. We'll have to look that up sometime. But damn, I was really in the mood to indulge a fantasy of mine. I wonder what he would do if I just accidentally bumped into him or requested whatever item he's stocking on the shelf, go up to him and say something like, "Excuse me, I'm sorry, but could you hand me a box of that?" I'm sure he would be nice and hand it to me, but I wonder if I could do that and give him a look that would lure him to the men's room so that I could blow him in a way that makes his toes curl. I'm all about that. But it was interesting, the day before, I was heading home and I kept thinking, in just 24 hours, I'll be heading to happy hour. It really struck me for a moment how we look at time. And I remember, not that I want to be morbid or anything, but the 25th anniversary of 9/11 is this year. And I just thought about those people who went to work that morning thinking, maybe the same thing I was thinking, like, I can't wait for happy hour this evening. I can't wait to have the day off tomorrow or whatever. And then your whole life is ended in less than 3 hours. It's strange how time works, isn't it? That might sound like a stupid statement there, but have you not noticed that like days when you're working, it seems like the day takes twice as long versus when you're at home just chilling out, relaxing, watching TV or reading or recording a podcast, that time just seems to fly by, that the weekend just seems to be over at the snap of your fingers, whereas the 5 days of the work week just seem to take 10 days long. I guess when I was thinking about the excitement of being just 24 hours away from happy hour, I was taking that time for granted, that I was definitely going to be alive and well enough to go to happy hour. But how many times has that not been the case for people? It should be a humbling experience, shouldn't it? It should remind you of your mortality, your humanity, that once again, as I preached before, we're not guaranteed 1 second on this earth. We're not guaranteed the next minute or anything. And we should enjoy our lives as much as we can when we can, because there'll come a day when we won't be able to. But enough about that. How you doing, sinners, saints, bitches, whores, sluts, skanks, pole smokers, ass lickers, toe suckers? I hope you're feeling well. I hope you're feeling sexy. I hope you're feeling like this is the best time of your life. Boy, that was a joke right there, wasn't it? You're listening to Alan After Dark, so I know it's not the best time of your life. The best time of your life would be being plowed by Henry Cavill, don't you think? I think so.
Oh, God! Shut up!
You know, sometimes I wonder if maybe the word sucker or loser is written on my forehead. It's just that I can't see it, but everybody else can, especially people who want to take advantage of me. Now, before we get into this story, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that I'm talking about guys who hustled me. I'm not talking about friends or family that needed a helping hand, okay? This is about people who played me, tricked me, and used me. Are we clear on that? Good. Now, I know I am by no means the only person who feels this way sometimes. And mine comes from a history of experience in the gay clubs and running into hustlers who, well, they were hustling. They were jockeying for a drink or for money or drugs. And you either got pulled in by their convincing arguments or you were repulsed by it, or you just went along with it just to see how far they would go. And my curious nature, that's what I did a lot of times. But when it's someone that you don't expect to do you wrong, it really does make you question yourself and even your basic common sense. It's like, why did I get pulled in? Why did I get suckered this way? Why does anybody allow themselves to be hoodwinked, for lack of a better word? Suckered, I guess, is a good way to put it as well. I know people that you'll hear a sob story and you feel bad for the person, not realizing that that person is probably playing you for a fool. That sounded really bitter and cynical, but you know what I mean. And I wonder a lot of times, a person who does hustle, not for sex necessarily, but just trying to con somebody into giving them money or other favors, knowing that you're going to rip off that person, how does that make you feel? I guess if I think about it from the hustler's perspective, I would maybe assume that the person that I'm hustling or conning is super rich and won't miss the money anyway. Perhaps that's how they rationalize that type of behavior. Maybe they look at it like a Robin Hood type situation. They are the hero helping themselves. You think? I don't know how I would feel about myself if I deceived people into giving me money or special favors. And likewise, I don't understand someone who keeps falling for it over and over and over again. Why do you see someone and think that you are their savior? What makes you think that you could change that person from who they are, regardless of what they're doing? I'm not saying someone who could potentially be a hustler or a player. Maybe it's someone who is just really on hard times. They're really struggling, and maybe they're addicted to drugs or have other issues. And what makes a person think that they can be a dad or a mother or, again, their savior, especially if you've tried it before and it blew up in your face? If you keep doing the same thing and the same results, the same negative, terrible, disastrous results happen, then maybe you should rethink this notion that you can be someone's savior. Obviously, my cynicism and my lack of trust of people is because of the times that I've been burned. It's not fun. It's terrible. I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, at the time he was my best friend, he was in a car accident. Not a really bad one, but there was enough damage that it was going to be costly. Well, in this state, if you don't have insurance and you are involved in an accident, you can be cited and you can be in real big trouble. And I really do mean trouble. A person could lose their license to drive. You can face fines. And if the accident is severe enough, it could be jail time that you would have to serve, almost up to a year, I believe. So he had to get insurance very quickly, and he said he had no money. Well, I didn't have much money either, but he needed like $500. Well, $500 back then when I was young and stupid, that was nearly everything that I had. But I didn't hesitate. I gave him the money so he could get the insurance he needed to stay out of trouble. And he promised me that he would get that money back to me as soon as he got paid. It would be in no time. I'd have it back. That was 22 years ago. So, yeah, I never got that money back. I was in desperate need. I barely had enough money to cover my rent and groceries and my utilities. And it really did put me behind for months to make up that loss. Damn. And I liked him a lot. I actually loved him, but fuck it. Another example, another guy that I was becoming friends with, we had actually had a one-night stand, but it felt like we were going to be friends. And did I tell you all this one before? I may have, but you know what? You can listen to it again. We were going out one night to meet some of his friends. These were heterosexual people. And we were going to this bar in, let's call him Chris's neighborhood. And on the way, he said, could you loan me like $50? I don't have any money on me, and I'd like to buy them a drink tonight, and I'll pay you back next week. And I'm like, okay. And I thought, here I go again, giving somebody money. Well, we had a pretty good time, and I thought it was kind of odd when we were having drinks and talking and socializing that he said, I'm buying you a drink. Don't argue with me. And I'm like, what? Okay, that was odd how he said that, like he was just going to throw money around. Anyway, the next Saturday, I pick him up. We're going to go out to eat. He gives me a check for the money, and I'm like, wow, a guy who kept his word. I take the check and deposit it, and all was right with the world. 3 weeks later, I get my bank statement, and I notice this weird entry on my bank statement of $50 being withdrawn from my account. I thought, what is this? And it didn't dawn on me the number right away. So I called my bank, and she explained to me, she said, well, you have deposited a check of $50 that was written on a closed account. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I had been hoodwinked again. I called him right away. I said, hey, that check you wrote me for $50, that was a bad check. You wrote it on a closed account. His answer was, oh shit, sorry. And I was like, what the fuck? I was furious. I guess I didn't tell you all that there were several friends of mine who warned me that he could be this way, that he had played others for a lot of money in the past and he was not trustworthy. All I cared about was that his mouth was good. Anyway, I was telling people what he did, and people were just kind of like laughing and saying, we told you so. Didn't people say that that's what he would do? That's his game? I said, well, yeah, I know you all told me, but I really thought he was not that way. I usually want to believe someone based on their own behaviors. Now I know that you all were right about him. So he had the gall a few weeks later to show up at the club, and I was drunk. And I went right up to him. I said, hey, you little bastard. And he's like, you're making a scene. I'm like, you damn Skippy, I'm making a scene, you motherfucker. I said, this is the motherfucker who steals money from you. And I really did run him off. Well, it turned out he and those friends that I'd met that night, they used to go to restaurants and would order big meals and then sneak out and not pay. Well, I still had feelings for him. And it was tragic when I found out that he had died from meningitis, of all things. He was like 24 years old and he was dead. I was upset that night at the bar, and a friend of mine came over and asked me what was wrong, and I said, well, Chris died. And he said, that Chris that you were hooking up with and stuff recently? I said, well, yeah. He said, well, good riddance. I'm like, what the hell? He goes, he ripped my cousin off for like $5,000. I'm like, holy shit. And I felt even worse because people didn't care that he was dead. People were thinking and saying out loud that he deserved to be dead. He really did leave a legacy of people not caring. His family sort of cared, I guess, but they were in denial that he was gay. Apparently he had a boyfriend at the time of his death, and they made the boyfriend sit on the back row of the church for his funeral. Anyway, so at least one guy had not been ripped off by him. Wouldn't that be a terrible legacy to have? A legacy of people just despising you, hating you, glad that you're dead? I guess you shouldn't really care what people think, but I don't know that I want people to be happy that I'm dead. Or do I? But I always think of Mama Jean and Mama Jean's Christmas party where the community comes together and we bring unwrapped toys for children in need. And Jean did it every year for dozens of years while he was alive. And he asked us to keep it going after his death. And we have. I think this year will be the 10th year since his death. And it is the biggest event of the year. What a wonderful legacy he has that we still do that Christmas party in his honor, in his name, because it was his passion. And he really did hold that event so close to his heart that it would be a shame not to continue his work, the joy he felt in collecting toys for children in need. That is a wonderful legacy that I don't know how anybody wouldn't want anything else but that. But not all of us are going to have a legacy like that. We won't. I guess if when I'm gone, people reflect on my life and say that I was a good person, that I was kind to most people, and I was only mean to people that deserved it. Living a good life, a happy life, that's a pretty good legacy too. Making sure that you've not hurt anybody else in a way that I've been hurt. Does that make sense? I don't know. So anyway, when you are burned by people, how do you reconcile that with your own morals and ethics? Well, obviously, the two people that I'm referring to, one of them is dead, so that's irrelevant now. But it's a matter of not letting them do it again. And I know now that the old principle really does work, that if someone asks you for money, you only give them what you know that you could afford to do without. I guess the bottom line really is that I just hope people don't ask me for money because I really don't want to give it. It just really kind of sucks that I have wondered sometimes if the shoe was on the other foot and I was in desperate need. Would people give me a helping hand, money, if I needed it? Is it any wonder that I'm cynical of people, mistrusting? I don't trust anybody, really, honestly. I barely trust myself. I take that back. There are a few people in the world that I trust. There are a few. I can talk to people freely and know that talking to them, it won't go anywhere else. And I love that. There is a sense of freedom when you know that you can talk about anything to a person and feel safe knowing that they won't judge you, they won't gossip about it. They might offer you guidance or feedback or an opinion, but it would stay right there. And I pride myself on that too, even though you all might think that I'm not trustworthy since look at how much I share on a podcast. But people's identities are safe. People know that I'm me. There's people that know who I am in the real world, but they can't figure out who I'm talking about unless I actually tell them that it's them I'm talking about. I know I've mentioned my alter ego a few times in the past, and I have a very strong feeling that the alter ego is going to be coming out tonight when I go to happy hour. I want to wear my tank top that says pervert, but I always hesitate because, my luck would be that Mr. Right comes walking in the door He takes one look at my shirt and sees that it says pervert and thinks, yeah, I'm not going anywhere near that. But then again, if he's Mr. Right, he would get a kick out of my shirt saying pervert, wouldn't he? Positive mental attitude, Alan. You need positive mental attitude. Wasn't there an old saying, something like, clothes make the man? Now, I would be the first one to admit that a man in a military uniform, a man in a cop uniform, all those are hot as fuck. Don't you agree? So, in a certain sense, clothes make the man could be more of a fantasy than actuality. I guess. I don't know if that makes sense either. I need a drink or a nap. Which is it, bitch? I don't know. Well, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me for a little while. I hope you had a good time. I know I did. I always do, don't I? And I hope I maybe provoked you into considering coming back next week and hanging out some more. But until then, always remember, take life by the balls and be real. We'll see you soon.